Simon's number 41 or something. So once again, it's Christmas. Merry Krika. Merry Christmas, whatever you believe. I say Merry Christmas. I know it's politically incorrect, and I'm not. Uh, but it is Christmas, and see, for myself, I don't even know what fucking religion I am. I'm probably a volcano worshiper or something. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a crappy Jew because I don't observe, and I only went to shul once in my life, unless I was playing a bar mitzvah gig or something. I went to shul when I was a little kid one time, and I was afraid of the rabbi's beard. I'd never seen a beard. It freaked me out, and I got really bored. And then when this guy came out with the beard, I panicked and I ran out of the place. It was in the Bronx. I don't know what the fuck I was doing in the Bronx. I think it was my grandma or my mom or one of my aunts had to go outside, and like I was just, So I'm a crappy Jew. I'm a lousy Cuban too, because I don't speak Spanish very good. I can speak enough to give directions to somebody who's lost in the subway or whatever, but you know, I'm not good at that either. So I'm a piss poor excuse for anything but a New Yorker. That's my race. My race is New Yorker, and my religion is rock and roll. That's the that's the only fucking thing I know. So, all right, we're gonna get into this now. We're getting up to the end of this whole series, and this is gonna be. I want to wish everybody too Merry Christmas. I was gonna go be with my kids and their mom and her second husband, and a bunch of other relatives. I was gonna go out of town and spend time with like that whole side of families, be both my kids, and we had this whole like COVID thing again, and then one of my daughters got a quarantine because somebody that lives in her house is very sick with this shit. Uh, I got friends that are anti-vaxxers. I got friends that take the vaccines. I'm not here to judge nobody. I'll tell you, I didn't want to take them because I don't trust nothing. Okay, my whole shit is question everything, challenge everything, resist everything. Okay, so if you try to tell me I should get a vaccine, I'm going to resist you. If you try to tell me nobody should get the vaccines, I'm going to resist that. Remember, my hero when I was a kid was Holden Caulfield, and he was like before Johnny Rotten, he was the original like anti everything motherfucker, So I didn't want to get them things because I didn't want to get sick from it. It was going to keep me from practicing or doing whatever I want to do. But I'll tell you the truth, and you anti-vaxxers can hate on me. I did get them. This last one, fucking wish like my boss Eddie D used to say, "Maron ame." I I wish I hadn't got it, man. It made me sick like 10 motherfuckers, and it gave me this horrible chemical taste in my face, like I shot really crappy coke, like that coke they used to sell in the 80s, and nickels of coke from Allen Street in Houston, and you'd shoot it, and it was cut with like and who knows what the fuck they cut it with? Fucking talcum powder, just shitty bar blow cut. That's what it tasted like in my face, and I don't, despite all the scars, my entire body is fucking scarred from like all the shit I did out there, and also from being so overweight as a kid, it deformed and scarred my body, and then I have just the fucking needles, scars all over, and then plus you know, every time I got a beating, some of the beatings I got, I richly deserved, I have to admit, but it's like, you know, whatever the fuck. But I don't like to taste or feel, I don't like to feel like I'm on drugs. I don't like to taste drugs going in, you know. Uh, anyway, I didn't like it. And then about 2 days later, I was tired, sluggish, uh, coughing for like 2 days, and I come out of it. Now I feel great, you know. But we're gonna do Christmas. If we're gonna do like replacement Christmas in a couple of weeks, you know. So it's okay. I'm here on Christmas, but I don't want to go. I just want to stay home and play. This is the this is not the Joey Miserable and the Worms Les Paul. This is a newer one that I kind of got to go out on the road with and go on gigs with. Uh, but it's very nice. It weighs a lot. It's heavy, but it sounds good. But anyway, so I'm home and I'm practicing at a use. This is but Yusef Latif, repository of scales and melodic patterns, and my friend Jeff Gordon, who passed away, gave it to me. It was a gift from him, and it's by the great Yusef Latif. And then also like Ted Green chord chemistry. So that's what I've been I practice all different kinds of shit all the time. So I want to take a little break because I'm getting a little, you know, I need a study break. See, that's the thing. I never stopped studying. I never graduated. I'll graduate when they put me in that fucking box, you know? So I'm going to tell a story here. This is basically just a lot of name dropping bullshit. Like, I'm just going to tell you all the people I played with. Okay, it's the 90s and I got clean, okay? I'm playing with the Bar Sinisters, Scott and Glenn. They were great. Chuck would play with us too. Uh, there was a whole scene in New York at that time. Like, you know, first there was that initial, like, really big punk rock scene with all the clubs. But in the early 90s, there was this great retro scene in New York of all the people that were into roots rock and roll, like, you know, original 50s, 60s rock and roll. It was really big. Uh, so there's all these subgenres. There's rockabilly, there's psychobilly, there's like doo-wop, a 50s R&B. Uh, there's garage, right? There was surf, you know. Uh, there was like English beat groups kind of stuff, like, you know, like the Kaisers is an example of that, right? So there was all these bands, there was all these places to play. It was very fruitful. So we had like Satan. I'm gonna just off the top of my head, and I hope you guys make a comment. Yeah, I mean, you're probably enjoying Christmas with your families and everything, so you don't got time for my fucking ass. But if you're out there, like, make a comment. You know, I would say like St. Mark's Bar and Grill, Nightingales, Dan Lynch. Then there was the Coney Island High, the uh, the Continental, right? Then there was this place, Space at Chase. Then there was like the Strip. It was right next to that donut place on Donut Pub on 7th Avenue. I, I want to like their donuts, but they put too much sugar. It burns your face off. That place is Strip. Then there was the Green Door, Giorgio Gomelski, right? The guy that managed the Yardbirds and managed the Stones and all these people. Then there was some other weird place I played right around the corner from the Green Door. Then there was that's just off the top of my head, right? Oh, McGovern's we had fun at too. McGovern's, there was a lot of wild shit that went on there. I remember one time Bar Sinisters was playing there, and there was always some real. There was like this girl got jealous of somebody in the band, the drummer or something. jealous of some other girl, and she destroyed the whole bathroom and broke the toilet. So we're playing, and there's like water coming out from the toilet, like she broke the whole fucking thing. The water's just coming out. We kept on playing. Oh, there was Don Hills, right? So, and this was at the rodeo bar. How the fuck could I forget, right? And Gonzalez y Gonzalez, and all these places we could do our roots thing, And then, the Bar Sinisters, we were like punk blues, like we were rockabilly, punk, blues, garage, surf. We kind of went over the whole thing, and then we added our own like first wave punk rock thing onto it too. So we were like Johnny Thunders was completely forgotten in this year, 1991. He had just died, and like nobody even remembered who he was. So we were doing his songs. I don't really cover John's songs anymore because now like all these people do it, and it's there's like 50 million old white guys with Les Paul Juniors all doing John's songs, and I don't really. I love his music though, but I don't really play his songs no more. Maybe if you twisted my arm, right? Okay, now I'm going to switch from the virtual tips to 25 albums out. Okay, so one more thing for you to ignore here. So there was all these places, we're playing all these places, there was places that would open for like one day and then fail, or they were like somebody, I don't know, some dodgy shit going on. But there was the Clam Broth House in Hoboken. We used to play there too. Like imagine fucking punk rock at the Clam Broth House. And somehow I ran into these. I get this listed names. His names here. I ran into this guy, Josh Silverman, and he started coming to Barbecue Bob and the Spare Ribs gigs. I was still playing Barbecue Bob. We used to play out in Jersey a lot, and some of the gigs we did in Jersey were like a lot of fun, and some of them were more like sports bar gigs, and they could get kind of. So it was just not like what I wanted to play a fucking show. You know what I mean? I wanted to play, and sometimes we would do these shows and it would be so much fun. And sometimes we do shows and it would just be like the audience would just be boring the shit out of us, like, And then there was this. Do we got a chat here? Let me see this. Please chat away, chat away. You could keep his memory alive. Do more JT songs. Okay, I'll do more JT songs. But thanks for the chats, by the way, for the chat away. So there was so many places to play. So this guy, Josh Silverman, I met him, and he was probably about 16 or 17. Like he was too young really to get into these joints, but he was a really cool guy. He used to help me out, give me lifts and stuff to gigs, like, he actually wound up buying a bunch of my equipment. I used to have this one guitar. I used to play it a lot. It was an SG. I liked it because it was metallic blue to fade to green. So I was really in love with it. It sounded great. It had kind of a little narrow. The neck got narrow up here, but I was playing this gig in Philadelphia with Barbecue Bob, and I always kind of shake the guitar, and the neck just came off from the guitar. It disarticulated, but it was a very clean break. It wasn't like the wood had splintered. The glue had just failed. The neck came off. So I wanted to buy something else, like another amp. I was always buying and selling and trading gear, so I would hang on to some things, and some things would pass through, and then they'd be traded out again. So I traded this in a speaker cabinet to Josh, and I forget what I was going to do with it. I think I bought like another amp or something, but so I met him, and he had a punk band, the Shirt Circus, right? So he had we got another comment. Neck bend and tremolo, yes. like that, right? So you can bend the pitch too. So anyway, Josh was a really cool guy. And he had this pop punk band, the Shirt Circus, and they were fantastic. And I was like, and he was like, yeah, we like the old punk. We're tired of hardcore. And I was like, I was tired of hardcore too, you know. I mean, now I love it, but it was like, you know, I'd rather go to a punk show than a hardcore show. Yeah, pitch shifting. That's what it does. Like the old Fender amps with that. So anyway, Link Ray used to do that too. So anyway, the old, I would rather go to a punk show. It was like it was more diverse. It wasn't all guys. There was more women there. Women had a voice. It wasn't just like all these guys beating each other up and a couple of skinhead girls standing on the side. It was kind of more like there was more different voices of people saying different things. So I like the punk, and I was like, and there was more melody. After a while, like hardcore became like you have to play a certain way, you got to do it a certain way, and it's like I don't do anything a certain way. Everybody hates me. The punks hate me because I know how to play jazz. The jazz people hate me because I'm punk. The blues people hate me because I play fucking rockabilly. The rockabilly guys hate me because I'm bald. You know what I mean? The the surf bands all hate me because none of them fucking surf. They're all a bunch of fucking landlubbers, and they hate me because I'm actually going to fucking sea, unlike them. So, a bunch of different things over here. So, Josh Silverman, and then Chris Maggio, he was like the 15-year-old drum wonder, and then Bob Britton on bass. And then through them, I met Tom Petto, who's like a bigwig now. And then also Paul Andrew, I just saw him the other night. We were talking on Zoom. He's learning to play the guitar, and he was also a drummer in Shirt Circus in another band. And so I used to go out to Nutley, New Jersey, and fucking Nutley. Imagine Simon hanging out in Nutley, right? And I used to go hang out in Nutley with these guys. And then it looks like the Worms were going to get back together, but we didn't. And I played like one gig with Jono's band, the Sweet Tones, and they kind of threw me out uh, after one gig, you know. And I was like, wow, we're going to get the band back together. We're going to get the band back together, but now I'm clean, and it's going. It's not. It didn't work that way. I might be clean, but I'm still Simon. I'm still like going to face rejection or whatever. So the Shirt Circus, they were fantastic. Josh unfortunately passed away, and it sucks because I got into some kind of like argument with him over something, and we had words, and then he passed away, and I never got to really straighten myself out. So, but that was the Shirt Circus and Bigwig, and then I wound up falling in with a bunch of crazy bands in the 90s. The Contortions, they called me up. At first, they called me up to play upright bass with them. It's also in the 90s when I started playing upright bass again. And it's because of one of the hippie bands, the Spin Doctors. I've always been a music teacher too. Since I started teaching, 1982, I started teaching, and I would usually barter a lesson for drugs, right? But like then I got a little smarter, and I was teaching and actually getting paid for it. Uh, Funny how not being strung out you make better decisions, right? So I'm teaching Mark White from the Spin Doctors, and he had this beautiful upright bass in the corner of his house, and I was like, oh my god, I used to play upright back in high school, and I love upright. Man, you're so lucky you've got that bass. That's so cool. And he goes, do you want it? And I was like, are you kidding me? He goes, yeah, my wife says if I don't get rid of it, she's gonna throw it out. I was like, well, why don't you get rid of your wife and keep the bass? But he gave to me the bass. I took it home that day. I still have it here. And it's a lovely bass. So that was in the 90s. So I started playing upright bass again. So the senders, the contortions, I got a call from like James Chance. So it was like, hi, it's James. So and so gave me your number. So I started playing with the contortions. It wasn't the original contortions with Pat Place and Jody Harris. And it was all different people. It was Robert Aaron, AJ Mantis, James Chance, and then the drummer was Richard Dworkin, and then me on upright bass. And it was James Chance's fucking completely mentally insane uh, desire to play swing, right? He's trying to play swing now, and so we were. And the great thing is that James Chance, he's really fucking good autographer. He would write all these scores out and everything. So he gave me the scores, and I would learn them. And I think I think Dworkin, I never seen him do nothing in me, but like the rest of these guys were fucking whacked. Like they were like then they could function. I mean, you know, like the some of these other guys in the band, they could play. They were like genius level musicians. They just played. It was like when they played, it was just like fucking honey pouring out of this fucking giant spigot. Just all this fucking crazy shit, and it seemed so effortless. And it's like I can't. But they were so fucking strung out, and it's like, how the fuck? That's what all the '50s bebop guys too. Like, how the fuck do you play that good? I can't play that good clean. How the fuck do they play that good on a boatload of dope? You know? I remember one time we went to the recording studio to make an album, and I was shitting bricks because I was there. It was a noon session, and I was like, oh my God. I wanted to get there at 11. I got there at 11:45, and I thought I'm going to walk in only 15 minutes before the downbeat, you know, it was hard to get there, you know, the trains or whatever. I was coming from Brooklyn, and it was on 40 Deuce. I remember it was on 40 Deuce, like kind of near where Variety was, you know. And I came in, there was nobody there, and I did some push-ups, some sit-ups. I practiced. I took a nap. I went out, got a slice. I come back. They're not there. Finally, like the session was called 12 to 3, right? Finally, at 2:45, they all walk in. I'm like, where were these fucking guys? They go, they go over to the table. The guy's got a newspaper, right? He opens up the newspaper, and there's a piece of aluminum foil like the size of a fucking hero, a big hero, like, you know, like Mangiaro's Hero Boy, the big one. He opens it, it's everywhere Coke. There was like Coke the fucking size of a fucking boa constrictor in there. Like I've never seen so much Coke. And they're just like, they're fucking snorting the shit out of this. I'm like, you know, really got in you, right? So then we start playing. They just play so beautiful, so fantastic, you know. I was playing guitar on this date. He moved me over to guitar, and he got Eric Klostad in on bass. So we had like me, Dwork, and Klostad. We were straight, and the rest of the band was like fucking whacked on God, like everything, you know. You know, like but we made this great record, Terminal City, James Chance, Terminal City. Check that out. It was a great record. We made it in about an hour. You know, I waited for them for 3 hours, and they came in with like fucking half of fucking fucking Scarface Pablo Escobar's fucking gross national product, which I didn't partake in, you know. And so then another great thing is we're playing, and James Chance, he's so stoned he forgot to hire a drummer for the gig. So I'm like, "Where's the drummer? Where's the drummer?" And me and Klaus Dunn and AJ, man, everybody's there, but there's no drummer. And like we're waiting, we're set up, we're staying around stage, so we just start playing. I was like, "Fuck it," you know. We're like, "What are we gonna do? He's not here." You know, we just started blowing because we got, you know, I think that's what actually what we did play. And so here comes James Chance, right? He's wearing a fire engine, his hair is dyed fire engine red, and it's all sticking straight up. He's got fire engine red suit, fire engine red shirt, fire engine red tie, see-through fire engine red gangster socks. You know, the socks you can fucking see through them and shit. Fire engine red shoes, right? And he's so high, he gets up on the stand. He can't put his horn together. He's like, he looks fucking great. And he's so high, he finally gets his horn put together. And, you know, we're like, you know, whatever, we're just blowing. Then finally he comes up, can't get air through the horn. He's like, he's so high he can't get air through the fucking horn. So we kind of limp through that show. I was like, James, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to hire a drummer. You know, I love James though, man. I mean, I, I, I'm a fucking wimp because he does shit on a daily basis that would kill me in 2 minutes, you know? Like, the other thing is that he has the best library of anybody ever. I went over to his house. He had like everything on like Caligula, everything on all of the, everything on like the excesses of the Roman Empire, like Caligula, Nero, you know, all that grimy shit. Everything on the history of torture, Spanish Inquisition, everything. He's a huge World War II buff. Every book, he had books on like the SS, the Gestapo, Abwehr, Nazi weapons. He had everything on Satanism and the occult. Every work like Aleister Crowley, but all these obscure things like everything on S&M and like flagellation and everything on like the French Revolution and the Reign of Terror, like the dark side of humanity. It's the only thing in interest. Is there any other side to humanity? I don't think so. But the man after my own heart. You can judge a man by his library, and James, whatever other dope-fueled shenanigans on the gigs, long forgiven, because your fucking library rocks, man. All right, then we got Dede Ramone. All right, my friend Tim, longtime friend Tim Sullivan from the Supertones. He called me, hey, I got a friend of mine here who wants to talk to you. He goes, hi, this is Douglas. Tim told me you have a van. Can you drive me to Monticello? I was like, well, sure, Douglas. You know, Douglas Colvin's his real name. He didn't like you call him Dede. So, sure, Douglas. What time you want to go? Can you be here in 15 minutes? They said, tell you, I'm in Brooklyn right now, and I just got home. Uh, can you give me a little more time than that? I just got home. He was like, hurry up. So I got in my van. I had this. It's the only time I ever bought a new car, and I don't even own a car anymore. But this is the worst car I ever owned. It was a Dodge van. It they hadn't welded the B pillar on the windshield. They hadn't welded it shut, so water was getting through, going down the B pillar right into the computer and all the sensors and the electronics in the engine. So it was the most unreliable vehicle I've ever owned, and I've owned some real jalopies. I mean, I had fucking cars that didn't have a fucking floor, you know. The two most unreliable cars I ever had was a Volvo and the Dodge van. So, so fuck you, Dodge, fuck you, Volvo. But anyway, uh, I get in it, I drive over to the Hotel Chelsea, and then there's Dede and his wife, and he wants to drive him to Monticello. He goes, I've been spending a fortune. He would get a yellow New York City taxi cab and go to Monticello. He goes, I've been spending too much money. So he was paying me like $100 plus gas and tolls to drive him up. So $100 back in 1995, whatever, was okay money. So I was driving him. I drive him to Monticello. He had this bungalow up there. He was, and then he had his place in the Chelsea Hotel. He was living there, and then in Monticello, and he was always very interesting company. You know, uh, he was always very interesting company. He was. I used to see him in Forest Hills when I lived there, but I never spoke to him. He was like one of the older, cool kids with the long hair. But now I got to know him a little bit. I spent a lot of time with him, actually. Not only used to drive me, he was like, Simon, I want you to teach me how to play Chuck Berry and B.B. King. So I would be, all right, B.B. King, all right, so like that. I was like, all right, Dede, can you do this? So he went downstairs to the guitar store, bought a Gibson Explorer, and came back up in 5 minutes. But it was really hard to teach him because I'd show him something, and if he didn't get it right away, I'd try to show it to him a second time, and he would just get very, very angry and kind of he'd throw his guitar on the floor. You know, uh, he would throw his guitar in the floor. He would just get pissed off. But I was trying to give him lessons. I was like, I remember he wanted, they're really rocking in Pakistan. There's a deaf DA deep in the heart of Texas, down in the USA. He wanted to learn all that stuff. I tried to teach it to him, but he just was just like, he just didn't have the self-discipline. He was like throw a fit. But I still love teaching him. I mean, how many people could say they were Dede Ramones guitar teacher, right? And he didn't play bass no more. He had this band, the Remains, with his wife Barbara on bass and then Marky on drums. So I was giving him guitar lessons, driving him around, and then I was also his guitar tech. So I'd tune his guitar and, roadie. They usually rented amps, so the amps would be there, but I would like tune his guitars for him and take care of him, And I remember he was like, I'm going to break my guitar in a million pieces. I hate this beautiful Gibson Explorer with a nice big fat neck, kind of like the neck on this one. And it was a great guitar, man, like cherry red Explorer, like what's not to like. He's like, can I use your guitar? I was like, yeah, but Dede, this is an old 55 Les Paul. Can you please take your belt off? So he goes up on stage and he doesn't take his belt off and he scratches the shit out of my guitar. And I was like, oh, fucking rock stars. But Now I look at all them scratches and I'm like, Dede, you know. Uh, and then I remember he was really, and also I sometimes he'd stay with Marky, so I drive them all the way out to the ass end. They were way out there in Ocean Avenue. So one time I called up my kid's mom and I said, listen, I got like Dede and Marky Ramone in the van and I'm driving them. I got to go right by your house. Will you let the kids come for a ride with us? So I got Dede and Marky and I went by Brooklyn, where we was all living Brooklyn at this point. This is like before the fucking hipsters ruined it, you know, we were like living in fucking Brooklyn, you know. So uh, we go by and my kids come down, they have like pajamas with their coats over it. They have like My Little Pony or like, you know, My Little Pony or something, pajamas, and they go down and they look and there's fucking Dede Ramone and Mark Ramone in the van, you know? And so they got to meet them and we rid them out to like way out to ass end of Ocean Avenue, Coney Island Avenue, somewhere around there, but way out there, like almost in a Coney Island. So we was out there and, you know, then I took the kids back home. So I heard a copy of the radio show you did with John Spencer. Ah, well, thanks for listening, man. Yeah, we'll get into that. So that's Dede's stories, you know, and then he moved out to LA and then he passed away. So that's, you know, that's Dede, man. Uh, and Rancid, they were recording. I worked at Coyote from 93 to 07, and that was a recording studio in Brooklyn, in Williamsburg. And back then, I just knew Williamsburg that the dope was better in Williamsburg. So you go across the bridge, you know, and the dope was stronger. If you didn't get fucking stabbed trying to cop over there, that is. Uh, but then people started, you know, opening up recording studios and, you know, little things like that over there. So there was this place Coyote, and I heard about them. This whole retro scene, right, in the '90s of all this roots music, the kingpin of the whole thing. These are the kingpins of the whole scene. Were this band, the A Bones, with Bill Miller and Miriam Lina and Bruce Bennett and Marcus the Carcass and Lars Espenson, right? And they were the A Bones, and Bill Miller probably had the greatest record collection in the world of like all the real shit, the greasy doo wop, the rockabilly, you know, the real blues, you know, not the Eric Clapton, Stevie Ray Vaughan blues, but like the real shit, you know. Uh, and he had a band, the A Bones. They were like a real fun garage band. And then there was this show on WFMU, The Hound. If The Hound show is still on, and I recommend you listen to it because he's probably the greatest rock and roll disc jockey since Moondog. I mean, he plays only the real shit, and I know him a long time because I got into The Hound. It was like a Jersey thing because that's where the radio station was, but I started listening to it every Saturday, right, from 3 to 6 he would be on. And I would hear these records that would just go through me like a fucking arrow, like a tomahawk, like, and I was like, wow, this guy likes the same kind of music like I do. Because like I said, I was done with the whole hardcore thing and, you know, whatever else. I wanted to get back into like what motivated me initially. And there was a great scene for it, you know, there was a great platform for it, you know, like it was being upheld. There was so many places to play and so many good bands, and like, you know, they pay a band something. You pay a band $200, $300. Like, try getting $300 now for playing a show. You know, forget, like, you know. Uh, so the Hound, he was like, these were the centerpieces, like the whole A Bones and Norton record thing, and they would bring in people. They would bring in like Andre Williams. They would bring in Hazel Adkins. They would bring in these various artists, you know, and then the Hound, he even said some nice things on me on his show a couple of times. So he's always been very nice to me, you know. So this was a thing, you know, back then. And there was also, I'm going to close this episode because I need to get back to practicing. But there was these guys, this guy Bill Peich, and then his girlfriend Michelle, and they were both very tall. They was probably both over like 6 foot tall, right? And so we used to call them the Twin Towers, and they would always be in the front at every show, dancing and being cool, and I befriended them, and they were like, "Oh, we must be doing good. The Twin Towers are here." They would always come to the bar Sinisters. They loved us when we first came out, so we got into that whole scene, that whole retro scene, you know. And then we played our punk rock too, and then we played all the rockabilly and all that stuff. So I was trying to use uh, everything that I learned in my life and put it forth into this band, you know. And it was kind of like I had made my stupid, like, drug fueled exit from the Worms probably about 4 years before. I kind of, you know, I'd been kind of disappeared for 4 years, you know, playing out in Jersey. It's at, you know, playing out in Jersey with Barbecue Bob. So it was like, I really wanted to come back. Now I'm clean. I wanted to come back and kind of take my shit back, you know? Like, I worked all my life for it and I threw it away because I'm a fucking douchebag. And like, I kind of wanted to see if I could not be a fucking Mama Luke for a minute and like take it back, you know? And I did, you know? I had this vision I was going to do this shit and I did it. And it's like the second time in my life, like with the Worms, I had this vision I was going to do something and I did it. And then here with now coming back without the crutch of like drinking and drugging, you know? And I came back and did that. But these are some of the people that were like, you know, Bill Peich was great. I remember he had one of those Buick Rivieras with the boat tail on it, like the fastback. Fucking cool car. And 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 you know, he was super fucking nice guy. I love Bill, you know, Bill Peich. And then Michelle is still alive. Unfortunately, we lost Bill. They worked at the Strand Bookstore also. So I'm gonna get going now. I gotta get back. I gotta call my girlfriend. She's out in the Midwest with her family visiting for Christmas. So I'm gonna give her a call, and I gotta get back to my other girlfriend here. So, oh, Thomas Heyman, what is he saying here? I heard a copy of the radio show you did. No, there was. Did I erase it? Oh, fuck. Goddamn fucking computers. Thomas Heyman. No, I don't want to hide it. What is he saying? Motherfucking computers. Oh, wait. Okay, go to Blazes. Coyote. The Hound Legendary. Yeah, so Coyote. No, I don't want to block him. I don't want to block Thomas Heyman. See, that's what I mean about these computers. I'm afraid I'm going to hit one button and all of a sudden, you know, I'm going to be like $240,000 in debt. They're going to break my fucking legs. I hit one fucking button. So, yeah, the Coyote Studios, that was in Williamsburg. And back then, Williamsburg was just deserted. It was factories, warehouses, abandoned factories, abandoned warehouses. If you got closer to the bridge, there was like some people living over there, but it was also kind of rough. There was a lot of heroin over there. And it was so deserted back then in Williamsburg that there was an old freight train with a steam locomotive. And they used to run trains down the middle of the street, right? They used to have a lot of freight trains over there because they would bring them over on barges that had railroad tracks on them and then unload them in Brooklyn, right? So they had all this just deserted railroad shit, and they had a steam locomotive with a bunch of freight cars and a caboose that just sitting in the middle of the street, abandoned. Like the last day they ran the steam locomotives, they just, when it was done, it was done. They just fucking left it there. And that's how abandoned it was back then in like 1991. It was fucking great. It was great. Now Williamsburg, I fucking hate fucking Williamsburg now. Except for Oasis Falafel and Main Drag Music. Main Drag Music is the best. They fixed my amp in 4 days. It came back perfect. Okay, Pat at Main Drag, man, he's fucking great. I've been through so much shit with amp repairmen. I had a guy that had my amp for 6 months. I got it back. It blew up. He couldn't. I had another guy that had my amp for 6 months in the basement, and it was like I had to fucking throw this huge fit to get it back. You know, like Main Drag, they had my amp 4 days later. It was done. They didn't overcharge me, and it works perfect. So, Main Drag Music, big up. And Oasis Falafel, what's not to like? Everything else about Williamsburg, eat King Kong's dick. King Kong's fucking stanky ass dick. That place used to be somewhere, and you rich motherfuckers moved in there, built all those fucking skyscrapers, you fucking Switzerland Trust Fund cocksuckers with, you know? Like, fuck you. You ruined my fucking city. So, fuck Williamsburg and its whole generation. Except for Main Drag. Love you all. Merry Christmas. Wait, we have this here. Hold on a minute. Show. Okay, show. Coyote, God bless. Albert and Manny. Go to Blaze, made 3 records with Roscoe there. Learned everything there. The Hound, Legendary. Now, show this one. Coyote. I'm trying to show this. I'm sorry, man. This is like digitalia. Wholesale booze, wholesale meats, and old man bars on North 6 at the time. Came up from Philly to make a record. The van got towed, and poof, the budget for adult medicine was gone. Ah. Oh, yeah, they'll tow you a fucking car in a second, man. I went there, recorded some stuff in Josh Silverman's basement, and also in the basement on Cornelia Street, where, you know, me and my kid's mom and the kids we were living, we recorded some stuff in the basement there. They had a coal bin, and it was a cool basement. We recorded down there. Then we recorded some stuff in Nutley, and then we couldn't get the right mix and the right things on it, and we went to Coyote, and I had all these just random tapes from Josh Silverman, and I went to Albert, and Albert fixed them all up, got them all to sound really fucking good, and that's like that's about a third of Bug Bite Daddy is that stuff. So, and that was my first, you know, my first exposure to Coyote. I wound up working there, and I loved working there, man. So Rancid comes into Coyote, and they're recording, and they're coming in and out. You know, they're like these big giant rock stars, and so they come in, and so I tell Albert, get me on his fucking record, man. Go grab those guys from Rancid, preach Simon to them, tell them, you know, you got to get Simon on the record. So Tim Armstrong comes out, and we talk for a couple. He goes, hey man, you want to play on the record? And I say, when? He goes, right now. So I just went into the studio, plugged into whatever amp they had. What amp was I using? Fender Pro Reverb, and I had like my hollow body Gibson guitar. I always had, and they wanted me to play some twangy surf guitar. I remember some of the parts. Is it? Anyway, if you listen to that Rancid song, Turntable, that's me doing them parts on there. So I got to play with Rancid. I was in and out of the studio 15 minutes. They gave me $100, and that was that. So that's my claim to fame. So now I really do got to go, man. Cokies with that bad coke. Cokies gonna coke, motherfucker. Right? Cokies with that bad coke. Yeah, pay a lot of money to have insomnia, be paranoid, and also no sirve la pinga después de tomar eso, coño. All right, have a good Christmas. Take care.